ended up beating them to death inside their unassuming southwestern split level. The house had a view of the Sedona, Arizona red rock formations that people were always saying was to die for. And here they were, dead. Two thoughtful, soulful, industrious humans with an energy, resolve, and sense of adventure that made them seem younger than they were. Dead. Just 6 months before that first ZD dinner, late at night on Labor Day 2006, Rebecca's parents, Shelby and Ray, dropped her off in New York City after their annual Lake George Adirondack camping trip, before continuing down the highway toward their hometown of Philadelphia. Less than an hour after a round of goodbye kisses and hugs, a murky object on the darkened road led to a violent car crash that left Shelby lifeless and Rebecca motherless. The accident was on the very turnpike that had always brought them safely back to each other. Barely 4 years after Shelby's death, Ray was on a Caribbean cruise, trying to eke out something resembling enjoyment after losing the love of his life. Late one night in his cabin, his heart gave out. The nightmare Rebecca had been dreading became reality. Suddenly, she was orphaned, a term she'd always associated with very young Dickensian characters clutching dented pails. This whole grief thing we were experiencing decades earlier than most of our friends, it was a total shit show. At the time, Rebecca spent her days and some nights producing political satire pieces for the Colbert Report. During the show tapings, she'd paste on a perma-smile while wondering how everyone could be laughing so hard when her beautiful, beloved mother was dead. After her father's death, she couldn't comprehend how people could happily order fries with that, while she floated through the twilight zone, untethered from everything she'd known. For Gabby, the 2 obituaries she drafted the day after she received her really bad news, one for her dad and another for her stepmother, would be among the last of her obit writing career. A merciful editor moved her onto the transportation beat after she returned to work on the heels of an epic Shiva. There were fewer triggers covering the commuter railroad, to be sure. But during those early days, her grief found a way to seep out, regardless of where she was or whom she was talking to. That included, on one occasion, the tractor-trailer driver she happened to be interviewing for an article about big rig safety on the I-95 corridor. Some people, like that truck driver, rose to the occasion. Others were clearly and understandably out of their wheelhouse. The same went for her friends. Looking for kindred spirits, Rebecca attended a grief support group for people who'd lost their parents. Everyone was nice enough, but she was the only one who didn't qualify for AARP. Feeling isolated, she left after one session without a real connection, though with a great mushroom barley soup recipe. Rebecca searched for solace in her parents' friends, but quickly learned everyone, including many of her own good friends, eventually had to get back to their lives and problems. She found a wonderful and warm grief counselor with a vested interest in helping her live a quality life. But still, something was missing. She needed to meet other people who'd been dumped onto a similar path. Gabby had more luck on the support group front. Every other week, she met with a group of people who had also lost loved ones, mostly young adult children, to homicide. These women, and one guy, understood her in a way most others could not. They never suggested moving on after a year or 2 or 20. It was a forever trauma, and everyone in this group knew that. At night, though, we were both alone with very loud thoughts. We opened our laptops in search of comfort, but those searches, often containing phrases along the lines of, "Still grieving after 2 years? Am I pathetic?" or "How many days in a row is it okay to eat only mac and cheese?" yielded gently flickering e-candles, religious and mindfulness blogs, and Psychology Today articles that seemed to suggest that we might actually be going crazy. Word to the wise, stay away.